I wasn't looking for anything. That's the part that still bothers me. Because if I had been suspicious, if I had expected to find something, maybe it wouldn't have hit me like it did. But I wasn't. It was a normal night. My wife had already gone to bed. The house was quiet. Too quiet, maybe. I remember sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone, half asleep, just wasting time. Nothing important. And then I noticed it. Her laptop, still open. That alone wasn't strange. She worked late sometimes, forgot to close things, left tabs open. But this was different. The screen wasn't locked, and there was something on it. A document. At first, I didn't even mean to read it. I just glanced. But then I saw my name, and that's when everything changed. I moved closer, slowly. Like if I moved too fast, it would disappear, or I would wake up. But it didn't. It was real. A document, dozens of pages, and at the top, my observations. I felt something shift in my chest, because underneath it was my full name. Not husband, not Ryan, my full name. Like I was a subject, not a person. I shouldn't have opened it, but I did. The first page was dated 6 months ago, and the first line read, "He doesn't notice patterns." I stopped breathing because that sentence was about me. I kept reading. His routine is his weakness. Predictable behavior, easily redirected with small changes. Each line felt colder than the last because it didn't feel emotional. It didn't feel like writing. It felt like analysis, like someone studying something, or someone. I scrolled, page after page, dates, times, notes. A date from a week ago. She didn't question the delay. He accepted the explanation. He trusts consistency more than evidence. My hands started shaking because this wasn't random. This wasn't frustration. This was detailed, structured, planned. I sat down slowly, trying to understand what I was looking at, because there are only two possibilities when you read something like that. Either it's not real, or everything you thought was real isn't. I kept scrolling, and then I saw something that made everything worse. A section labeled Phase 2. My chest tightened, because that meant there was a Phase 1, and I had already lived through it without knowing. I opened it. The first line, introduce variation gradually. My mind started racing because suddenly things started connecting. Small things, moments I had ignored. The time she changed her schedule. The nights she said she was tired earlier than usual. The way she stopped asking certain questions. It didn't feel like change back then. It felt like life. Normal. But now, it looked different, calculated, intentional. I scrolled further, and then I saw a date. Yesterday. My heart skipped, because that meant this wasn't something old. This was still happening. The note read, he hasn't noticed yet. Silence filled the room, because I had. I was noticing now. Too late. Or maybe right on time. I didn't hear her come downstairs. Not at first. I was too focused, too deep into something I didn't understand. Hey, her voice snapped me out of it. I turned. She was standing there, calm, normal, like nothing was wrong. What are you doing? She asked. I didn't answer. I just looked at her. And for the first time, I wasn't sure who I was looking at, because the person in front of me and the person who wrote this felt like two different people. "What is this?" I asked. She followed my glare to the screen, and something changed. Not panic, not shock, recognition, like she knew this moment would come, eventually. "You weren't supposed to see that yet," she said quietly. That word, yet, hit harder than anything else. Because it meant one thing. There was a timeline, a plan, and I wasn't at the end of it. "What is this?" I asked again, this time louder. She walked closer, slow, careful, like she was approaching something fragile or dangerous. "It's nothing," she said. That lie was too weak, because we both knew it wasn't true. "Don't do that," I said. "Don't pretend this is nothing." Silence. Then she sighed, not frustrated, resigned, like she had expected this. "I didn't want you to find it like this," she said. "Then how?" I asked. She didn't answer, because there wasn't a better way. I continued, "There is no good version of this." She looked at me, and for a moment, I saw something real. Not manipulation, not control, something closer to honesty. "You were changing," she said. I frowned. "What?" "You just didn't see it." That answer didn't make sense. Until it did. Because suddenly, this wasn't about her. It was about me. Or at least that's what she wanted me to believe. "So you wrote all of this?" I asked. She nodded. "Why?" A pause. Then, "Because I needed to understand you." That sentence felt wrong. Not because of the words, because of how calm she was saying them. Like this was reasonable. Like this was normal. "You're my wife," I said. "You're not supposed to study me." She didn't react, didn't argue, just looked at me. "You think you know yourself," she said quietly, "but you don't." Silence. Heavy. Because that sentence felt personal. Too personal. "And you do?" I asked. She hesitated, just for a second. Then, "I know enough." That answer was worse than a yes, because it meant she didn't need to know everything. Just enough. Enough to control something. Or someone. I looked back at the screen, at the notes, at the structure, and then I saw something I hadn't noticed before. A section at the bottom, untitled, no label, just one line. I clicked it, and that's when everything stopped. Because it wasn't about me, not directly. It was about something else, something I didn't expect. A sentence, short, clear. "If he finds this, proceed immediately." I felt my chest tighten, because that wasn't observation. That was instruction. And that meant one thing. This wasn't just analysis. This was preparation. I looked at her, slowly. "What does that mean?" I asked. Silence. And for the first time, she didn't have an answer, or didn't want to give one. And that's when I realized something I wish I hadn't. This wasn't about understanding me. This was about planning something, and I had just triggered it, without even knowing. And whatever came next was already decided. That thought didn't hit me all at once. It settled, slowly, like something sinking deeper and deeper, until there was no ignoring it. I looked at her. Really looked this time. Not as my wife, as the person who wrote all of this. The notes, the observations, the plan. And suddenly, I noticed something I hadn't before. She wasn't surprised. Not really. There was no panic, no scrambling, no denial. Just adjustment. Like she had reached a point in a process. A step. And now she was moving to the next one. "You said proceed," I said quietly. She didn't respond, but her eyes shifted, just slightly, toward the hallway. That was enough. "Proceed with what?" I asked. Still no answer. And that silence told me everything, because people don't stay silent when they're confused. They stay silent when they're deciding or waiting. I stood up slowly. The room felt different now, not just tense, like structured, like everything inside it was part of something. "Is there something else I should see?" I asked. Her eyes returned to me. For a moment, she looked like she was about to say no, but then she did something unexpected. She nodded. "Yeah," she said. That answer was worse than anything else, because it meant this wasn't the worst part. "Where?" I asked. She hesitated, and for the first time, there was something in her expression, not fear, something closer to doubt. "Upstairs," she said. My chest tightened, because that meant this wasn't contained. This wasn't just a document. This was something physical, something real. I didn't ask anything else. I just walked toward the stairs, slowly, because now every step mattered. I could feel her behind me, not following, watching, like she needed to see what I would do next or how I would react. That thought made my stomach turn, because this still felt like observation, like I was still part of the process. Even now, I reached the top of the stairs. The hallway was dark, too dark. We always left one light on, always. But tonight, it was off. That wasn't random. Nothing was random anymore. I walked forward. The air felt heavier up here, quieter, like sound didn't travel the same way. Our bedroom door was open, just slightly, enough to see inside. And that's when I noticed something. The room was different, not in an obvious way, subtle, but wrong. I stepped in, and then I saw it. A second bed on the other side of the room, identical to ours. Same sheets, same pillows, same everything. My heart started beating faster, because that didn't make sense. We didn't have two beds. We never did. I turned slightly. "She set it up last week." Her voice came from behind me, calm, like she was explaining something normal. "Why?" I asked. No answer. Because I already knew, or at least I was starting to. I walked closer to the second bed, and that's when I saw something. Something on the pillow. A phone. My phone. Or another one. Same model, same case, same everything. I picked it up. My hands felt cold, because I already knew what I would see, and I was right. Messages. From me to me. Dates going back weeks. No, months. I opened one. "Don't trust her." Another. "She's not telling you everything." Another. "You need to leave." My chest tightened, because I didn't remember sending any of these, but I recognized them. Not the words, the feeling, like I had thought them, but never said them out loud. "What is this?" I asked. This time, my voice wasn't calm. It was shaking, because this wasn't observation anymore. This was involvement. "You wrote those," she said. I turned. "What?" She stepped closer, slow, measured. "You just don't remember." "No," I said immediately. But even as I said it, something felt off. Because deep down, there was doubt. Small, but there. "I didn't write this." "You did," she said again. "Before." "Before what?" That question hit me instantly, because suddenly, this wasn't about whether I wrote it. It was about when. "When?" I asked. She hesitated, and that hesitation was different. Not controlled, not planned, real. "Before we started over," she said quietly. Everything inside me went still. What does that mean? She didn't answer immediately because this was the part she didn't want to say. I need you to stay calm, she said. That sentence never leads to anything good. What did you do? I asked. Her eyes met mine, and for the first time, I saw it. Not control, not certainty, fear. I didn't do anything to you, she said quickly. I did it for you. That was worse, because people always say that when they cross a line they can't explain. What did you do? I repeated, this time louder. She closed her eyes for a second, like she was preparing. Then, you asked me to help you forget. Silence. Complete. Because that sentence didn't just not make sense, it felt impossible. What? You found something out, she continued, and you couldn't handle it. My chest tightened. What did I find? She shook her head. I can't tell you. That answer broke something, because now this wasn't just about the past. This was about control. She was choosing what I knew and what I didn't. You don't get to decide that, I said. But even as I said it, I wasn't sure anymore. Because if what she said was true, then I had already made that decision. Before, you asked me to document everything, she said, to understand you, to see the patterns, to know when it would happen again. What would happen? I asked. She looked at me, longer than before, and then, very quietly, you would figure it out again. That answer was the worst one yet, because it meant one thing. Whatever I found before, I was finding it again, right now, and she was trying to stop it, or control it, or delay it. I looked back at the phone, at the messages, at the timeline, and then something clicked. Not fully, just enough. Why didn't I leave? I asked. Silence. Then, you left. I turned slowly. What? You left, she repeated, and then you came back. My chest tightened. Why would I come back? She didn't answer. Because she didn't need to. Because the answer was already there. Somewhere. Hidden. Waiting. Just like everything else. I looked at her. At the notes. And then I understood something I wish I hadn't. This wasn't the first time I found this. This was just the first time I remembered enough to question it. And the worst part, I wasn't done yet. Because whatever I had found before, I was about to find it again. And when I did, I knew exactly what would happen. Because I had already chosen it once. And maybe I would choose it again without even realizing it.